if you didn't grab a piece of graph paper, make sure you grab a piece of graph paper too. And on top of it, I want you to take out a fresh, clean piece of paper. So like we did at the end of last unit before first semester finals, same thing here. Last unit before second semester finals, fresh, clean piece of paper. This is going to be your note sheet for the final, so you probably want to put your name on it too. Okay? So you want to have that out too. This is our last chapter. Yeah, it's your last chapter of, because it's your last quarter, so it takes that long. Yeah. So it's an 8. So by my calculations, you got 8 weeks until you're done. Okay. So 6 of them are going to be this unit. 1 of them is going to be studying for the final. 1 of them is going to be taking the final, and then the last couple of days I got to get it graded so that you can decide whether or not you're going to take credit or not. That's a you decision, not a me decision. Okay. So on your sheet of paper, okay, that you just started for today, the blank one, the one that you're using as your note sheet of paper, I want you to divide it in half vertically. This is not your notes for today. This is the note sheet. So this stuff should be on there. Okay? So divide it in half vertically. Then in the left-hand column, you're going to divide that one in half. In the right-hand column, you're going to go kind of 1/3, 2/3-ish. So it's going to end up looking like that. Okay? We're going to fill in this hole today. Okay? Everything, 95% of everything that you need for that box is going to be today. The other 5% is going to come on Thursday. Okay? All right? Everybody with me? At some point, in time, probably up here, you should probably put your name too. Then remember, backside is yours. You can put whatever you want on the backside. Okay? So that meaning all the stuff from systems of equations, matrices, logs, and sequences and series. Those were our other 3 units. Okay? So that can all go on the backside. Yep. All right. Oops, cut the brakes. All right, so if you wanted to label that upper left-hand corner one, label it a parabola, don't put all of this stuff in that box. I'll tell you what to put in that box. This stuff is notes now. Okay, so this stuff goes on your notes. I'll tell you what to put in the box when it comes time to put in the box. Okay? All right? So we are going to start Unit 8, which is conic sections. So we are going to go through, and this is now, we are finally, 4th quarter, we are finally in brand new material that you've never seen before. Okay? Up to this point, you have seen everything at some point in time in another math class. Okay? With the exception of maybe matrices. But 4th quarter is totally brand new, which is why I slow it way down. And that's why it takes. So we're going to spend all week on parabolas. Okay? Next week, we're going to spend all week on circles. The following week, we're going to spend all week on ellipses. The following week on hyperbolas. And so on and so forth. Until we're done. So we're through them all. Okay? So the definition of a parabola is all points equidistant from a point called the focus and a line called the directrix. Okay? So let me jump ahead here to this one. So this point right here would be called the focus. This line down here would be called the directrix. And so all points equidistant from that. So it's going to look like that. Okay? Where if I take any point on here, the distance here is the same as the distance there. Way up here. The distance here is the same as the distance here. Okay? So we're talking distances from two different things. One's from a line, one's from a point. Okay? That's what we're talking about when we define a parabola. Okay? So we have some terminology, terms, vocabulary. I couldn't think of the V word. So we have vocabulary, which are also the important parts of a parabola. Now, some of these vocabulary terms are going to be the same throughout all four conic sections. Some of them are going to be tweaked a little bit. Some of them aren't going to be in some, a circle doesn't have a vertex, per se. Okay? So a focus in a parabola, these are all parabola-specific definitions now. We'll tweak them in the coming weeks for those conic sections. The focus is a point. It is located inside the parabola, and it is on the axes of symmetry. The directrix is a line. It is located outside the parabola. Your directrix should never be inside your parabola. Your parabola should never cross your directrix. Okay? It's kind of like two opposite polarity magnets when you go try and stick them together, and then it like repels it. That's what the directrix is to the parabola. And the vertex. Okay, you've seen a parabola before, but you've only seen vertical parabolas, up and down parabolas, and you've only done them using quadratics. We're going to totally change that this week. The vertex is that top of the hump or the bottom of the valve. Maximum or minimum. Or, when we tweak it here in about 5 minutes, we're going to have left and right opening parabolas. And so then it's going to be the farthest left point or the farthest right point. Okay? There are two general forms. Now this one should go in your notes. This one should also go at the top of the left-hand box, the left upper box, the two general forms of a parabola. And they are different. Okay? X minus h quantity squared equals plus or minus 4p times the quantity y minus k. Y minus k quantity squared equals plus or minus 4p times the quantity x minus h. Since you're writing these in two spots, I'll give you a pause here to let you write that in both spots. If you wanted to put a little reminder that this left one here is for a vertical parabola. Bad negative 4p. And this right one is for a left and right parabola. Might help you too, because that's going to come up later too. So that P letter in those two general forms is the distance that, or the distance between, I should say, the focus and the vertex. So this distance right here is P. It's the same because remember, it's got to be equidistant, all points equidistant from the focus and the directrix. It's the same as the distance from the vertex to the directrix. This? No, because you'll get it in another spot. Okay? So that distance, and you'll have to be calculating of those, or that's how you find those distances, okay, is that 4p number. Okay, that number that's out in front of the non-squared variable, or the coefficient on the non-squared variable is 4p. Okay? So, now, we're going to start graphing a parabola. There's going to be, if memory serves me right, I think there's 5 steps to graphing a parabola. These 5 steps should also not only go in your notes or on your graph paper as we're doing this, but should also go in that box, that upper left-handed box that you labeled parabolas. Okay? So step number 1, when you are graphing a parabola, is you need to decide which direction it's going to open. Now, I've already alluded to this. You already have this one on your, if you added that extra stuff on the general forms slide that we just had. Okay? So the first thing you're going to look at is you're going to look at which variable is squared. If x is squared, it's up and down. If y is squared, it's left and right. Then, after that, you look at the positivity of this number right here, or this number right there. So you look at the fact that, so if x is squared, so my x is squared, which means it's up or down, if that number is positive, then it opens up, because positive and up are the same direction on a graph. Okay? Up is the positive direction. If y is squared and that number is positive, it opens to the right, because right and positive are the same direction on a graph. If they're negative, if that coefficient is negative, then it opens down or it opens to the left. Okay? So it's really kind of a two-part check. Okay? So your direction of opening is which variable is squared, and is the non-squared coefficient positive or negative. Those are your two looks. Okay? What do you got? Okay. Glad I was able of some assistance. Okay. This is the equation of the parabola that we are going to graph. So if you wanted to switch over and graph it on your graph paper as you're taking notes. Now I know you're going in 3 different spots now, so again I'll slow the pace a little bit. Okay. So first step, let's run first step on this one. Does it open up, down, left, or right? Up, down, left, or right? So first check is which variable is squared? Which variable is being squared? X, right? Okay, so that means what? That means up or down. Okay. Second check, what's the coefficient on the non-squared variable? -12, right? So is it up or is it down? It's down. So 1, this one is going to open down. Okay. Second step now is we identify the vertex. Okay. So my vertex is going to be I look at the number that comes after the x, and I look at the number that comes after the y. Now, if there is no number that comes after them, what number am I thinking of? 0. Okay? So if there's no number after the x or no number after the y, it's 0. And from way back along and multiple times throughout, we did it in this class with absolute values. You've done it with other things throughout the course of your mathematics career. If it's inside a set of parentheses, in math, we think oppositely. So my x part of the vertex is going to be +3. It looks like -3, but I gotta think oppositely. So it's +3. The y part of my vertex is going to be -1. Looks like +1, but I've got to think opposite, so it's -1. On your graph now, you can put down, you can put a dot there, that's your vertex. And I would probably, would we say 3, -1? I would put a little, we know it opens down, so I would put a little V next to it, so that you know that it's the vertex. Okay? Let's get a little more practice on that one, finding the vertices. Okay? Tell me what's the vertex of these two. Vertex on the first one is what? 1, 0. Do we agree with Nick in 1, 0? Okay. Vertex on the second one. Vertex on the second one. What do you got, Blondie? Do we agree with Blondie in -7, -2? There's not a lot of agreement going on with Blondie, including myself. I do not agree. Why -2, -7? Because it goes, x goes with x and y goes with y. It's not, and that's kind of why I did it that way. It's not left to right. Okay? It's x with x, y with y. Okay? So the vertex here would actually be -2, -7. Okay? All right? X with X, Y with Y, not left to right. Okay? So we got that. So we know now step number 1 said that this parabola is going to open down. Step number 2, we found the vertex at the point 3, -1. We put it on our graph. Okay? Step number 3 now says that we are going to identify the p-value, because p is the distance from the vertex to the focus, and p is also the distance from the vertex to the directrix. So this number right here is 4p. Right? From our general form that you have written down. It was 4p. So I ignore the negativity, the positive or negative of it. I don't care. I'm just looking at the number. Okay? So 4p is 12. If 4 times p is 12, what's p? P is 3. Okay? Now, p is the distance from the vertex to the focus. So which direction, up, down, left, or right, remembering step 1, that this parabola opens down, which direction from my vertex is my focus? Yeah? You can look back in your notes. It's in your notes. It's in the definitions. Which direction, if this parabola opens down, like we found in step number 1, which direction from my vertex is my focus? Down, right? Because the focus has to be inside the parabola. So my parabola is going to open down, which means that my focus has to be down. So I go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and right there is my focus. That would be at the point 3, -4. Agree with me on that? P is also the distance from the vertex to the directrix. If my parabola is opening down, which direction is my directrix? Look at your definition. It's up, because it's got to be, if my parabola is opening down, and my definition says that the directrix is outside the parabola, it's got to be up. So I can go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and there lies my directrix. That would be a line, and that line would be y equals +2. Remember, horizontal lines are y equals, vertical lines are x. With me so far? Okay. Step 4 now says, oops, taps the brakes here. Step 4 says that 4p number that we use to find p is also the width of my parabola through the focus. So my parabola is 12 units wide at the focus. If my parabola is 12 units wide at the focus, that means I'm going to cut that number in half, and I'm going to go that many left and right, because it's a down opening parabola. So if my parabola is 12 wide, what's half of 12? 6. So from my focus here now, while I'm writing this stuff down, I'll go back to it, I promise. Here's my focus. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that whole length is 12. And once you have that done, now you can draw it in. Okay? One last thing. And the last thing is, oops, again I forgot to put down the axis, or forgot to copy off the last one. Okay? So the last one then is we need to find the axis of symmetry, the AOS. Okay? The axis of symmetry is the line that runs, or that connects, I should say. Connect, I think, is a good word for it. That connects the vertex and the focus. One of your two lines, parabolas have two lines. One of them is going to be horizontal, either the directrix or the axis of symmetry, and the other one's going to be opposite. Okay? So the AOS here, would be the line x equals 3. Five steps. Okay? All right? Let's try one more. We got plenty of time to do this one. Let's try one more. Let's graph this one using all of our steps. Okay? Quantity y plus 7 squared is equal to 16 times the quantity x plus 2. Step number 1. Direction of opening, right? Okay? Which way does this one open? To the right? Kiana says to the right. Do we have anybody that agrees with her? Nick agrees? Somebody agrees? What's your reasoning behind it opening to the right? You are correct. Tell me your reason. We're squaring the y, and the coefficient is positive, means we're opening to the right. I would concur. it's to the right. Step number 2 says we need to find the vertex. What is the vertex? -2, -7. Thinking oppositely, x in the x spot, y in the y spot. Okay? -2, 7 is from the origin left 2, down 7. And I label it with a. Okay? Step number 3. We need to find P. What is 4P equal to? 4P is 16, so that means P is 4. Okay? So there's a distance of 4 to my focus and to my directrix. Which, yes ma'am. Yep. So you just don't look at the positivity. I said that you may have been writing something down. Don't look at the positive or negativeness of that number. Just put 4P equal to the number. Because it's a distance, so it's going to be positive no matter what. Okay. Focus next, right? So which direction is my focus from my vertex? To the right, because it opens right. Okay? So my focus then would be 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that would be at the point +2, -7. Which direction from my vertex is my directrix? To the left. It's opposite the direction of the focus. So I would go 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's the line x equals 4, 5, 6, -6. Step number 4. How wide is my parabola? 16 through the focus, right? So my width is 16, which means I'm going to go groups of 8, right? 8 up from my focus, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8 down. Ruh-roh, what's wrong with this? It's off the graph, right? Can I still go 8 down? Yeah, So, somewhere right about there. Got to kind of measure it a little bit. Guesstimate a little bit. Okay. Can I draw in my parabola? I can draw it in. So I got, I've got 2 points that are on it. And what's left? Step number 5. Axis of symmetry. That's going to be what? Y equals -7. And that's it. Okay. Now I know that's a lot. Okay. But hopefully you should have filled in some information you filled in 3 different spots. I get it. But make sure it's for sure on your parabola's corner of your note sheet. Okay? Okay? On your homework, which is on the cream colored paper that you picked up today, you can do 1 through 9 as of right now. Okay? Okay? Not only are you graphing those on the homework, you're not only just graphing them, but you're also filling in that information underneath each of those graphs. Okay? And that's very similar. This week, you're going to have a formative. Next week, you'll have a quiz. Okay? And then it'll be formative and quiz kind of back and forth throughout the rest of the unit. But I'm going to ask you for those questions. So on a parabola, that's what I would ask you for. If we're graphing a parabola, I would ask you for the vertex, the focus, the directrix, and the axis of symmetry. I'd ask you for those 4 things every single time. I might also ask you for what the p-value is, but you would have had to find that in order to graph it. I might ask you the direction of opening. I might ask you the width. All those things that you would have in there. But for sure, bare minimum, I'm going to ask you those 4 things